So here we are. We are looking at the switch to outlet. And so you can have your switch in one box and you could have your outlet in another box. I know I don't have the box on this one right now. But this is what it looks like. And so we have your source, and your source comes in on the bottom. And so that's good. Wait, do I have this on the top? You know, I have this flipped around. Oh, no. Yeah, I have this flipped around. The source does come in on the bottom, and that's what we want. And so we want the source to connect to this black side, black and gold. And so that's where you're bringing the power in from. You have a pigtail here on the grounded screw, the green screw gets this bare wire. This is a pigtail, and then you're going to connect to the other grounds here. So there's going to be 3 of them, the pigtail plus the other 2. And then the white neutral wire gets its own pigtail. So the whites are not looped, the blacks are looped. And you go in and out of this switch. And this switch could be across the room and then go to this other box somewhere in the room. And that's how we get that to work in 2 boxes. All right, so this is one of the options. Showing this, we have a pigtail, and the pigtail goes to the grounding wire. We have the silver and white on one side, and then we have the black and gold on the other side. Okay, so let's put that one aside. That's option 1 for your switched outlet. And now this is option 2. This is actually a smaller testable version. I like that it's so compact. And so we have a plug here, right? We put the 14.2 Romex into this plug. And then we have a 2-gang electrical box. You're going to want to punch the corner out of one of these. Take the nails out so you don't poke yourself with the nails while you're working with this. And then when we're looking at inside of this, the anatomy of this is a shortened version of what you just saw. So let's remove the cover plate. These screws on the cover plate don't need to be very tight whenever you're putting them on or taking them off. Just ever so slightly snug. Some people like to keep all of the slots pointing the same direction, either vertically or horizontally. That's up to you if you feel stylistically inclined. Okay, so we have our switch and our outlet in the same box. So flipping this switch activates this outlet. Both of them. Okay, so let's dive into it a little bit more. That's going to take a little while. I'm going to speed this up. That sound, that scraping sound is the sound of the screw head stripping, which is not good. You definitely want to avoid that. So press firmly down when you're using this. Just because you're saving time doesn't mean that you can strip the screw and save time. You would then have to get some pliers or some locking pliers and pull it out. Okay, so let's look at the anatomy of the outlet here. So we're going to have one on one side and one on the other. That depends on what you want. We can see that this is in the on position. ON is down here. And then you can read here and it says OFF. That's how you know what is up and down on these. If I turn it sideways, you can see that both grounds are to the bottom of these receptacles here. So you always want to keep the ground on the bottom. That makes it a little easier to align. So let's see what we got. Coming in, we have the neutrals. I'll try to block everything else out. Coming in, we have the neutrals coming together in a pigtail. One of the neutrals is a short length of wire that's running off of the side of the outlet into here, and the other one is coming from the Romex. Okay, so you're going to have to cut a small length of wire. The wire should be, this looks like about 6 inches. So it's about 6 inches of wire that you're going to pull out, and then that's going to help you get your ground. You're going to do that for the ground here and here. So you're going to need 2 ground wires, ground pigtails that go into this one, and that joins the third that's in the Romex. And the black is an interrupt. The black, this is your short 6-inch piece of black wire that comes to the gold side of the outlet, and it goes into this pigtail here. Then the other piece of wire goes all the way into the top part of the switch, and the part that's feeding the switch goes into the bottom. That's always the anatomy of how the electricity is flowing into this. Okay, so you'll notice that the jacket doesn't stick out back past the back of the outlet, and that I'm not seeing bare wire here past this edge of the connector, here or here. If I see bare wire there, I'm going to ask you to repeat that process. So then you would open it up. You could cut a little bit off of this, or you might have to straighten them, strip them, and redo them with a pair of needle nose pliers. But the bare wire should not be shown, should not be visible. All right. So when you have all these connections made, then it's time for it to go back in the box. And so you're going to have to get creative as you stuff all these wires back in the box. You can start by gently pulling this back piece, and pulling that all out in the back, and fitting that back together. But let's go ahead and look at the plug aspect of this. Okay, so your plug, it may or may not look like this, is going to have the wires firmly into the terminals. And the terminals are gold and silver, just like in all the other outlets. And the green is for ground, is at the bottom. If this protective Romex sheath is not long enough to be grabbed here by the it does not cover this. This will have to be done again as well. So please bear in mind that it's better to go slow and not mess that up and have to do it twice. Your options are either option 1, the 2 box switched outlet, or the single box switched outlet.